Good morning to everyone. I am Dr. K. Vijay Kumar, Associate Professor, Public Administration, Government City College, Hyderabad. Today, we are discussing the public choice approach. Last class, we are already started this topic, but not completed. Today, we are completing this total topic, that is public choice approach. Last class we are completed objectives, then introduction and background of the public choice approach and meaning of public choice approach and features, assumptions, and William Niskanen's views on public choice approach. Then government in the new right perspective. Then the works of political economics. Then the nature of public goods and services. Then public choice approach and competition. Then constitution choice and collective action. Majority vote and social preference. And main recommendations. Then conclusion. I think last class we are completed up to government in the new right perspective. Government in the new right perspective. Government in the new right perspective. The economic crisis of the capitalist world at the start of the 1980s has been matched by a determined shift in the ideology of economic policies. Friedman is known most for being an unbiased champion of the free market. Basically, he was an economist. He stood for the benefit of low taxes, the need to private and regulate industry and services. The public choice approach evolved to minimize spending and maximize productivity. The economic crisis of capitalist world at the start of 1980s has been matched by a determined shift in the ideology of economic policies. This shift, misleading, abbreviated as a move from Keynesianism to monetarism, has accompanied the diverse new right policies. Like all dialogues, ideologies, and policies, the shift is supported and promoted by academic arguments. Friedman, he was a Nobel Prize winner. He got Nobel Prize in 1976 for excellence in economics. Has been one of the foremost advocates of economic freedom and free enterprise. He is known most for being an unbiased champion of the free market economy. His ideas are outlined in his Free to Choose. Free to Choose. It was published in 1980. He attacked the efficiency of Keynesianism driven Western governments and pointed to the glaring failure of state-sponsored welfare measures. He stood for the benefit of low taxes. He stood for the benefit of low taxes. The need to denationalize, it is nothing but privatize, denationalize and deregulate industry and services, and the abolition of rent controls, minimum wages, rational and industrial subsidies, and employment legislation. All the above were seen as barriers to the efficient working of a market economy. Friedman argued that the government's role should be limited to providing only law and order, defense, and essential services. Essential services. Capitalism, the voluntary interaction between buyers and sellers of goods and services, created economic freedom, which in turn was essential for political freedom. Friedman advocates limited government. Friedman shares Thomas Jefferson's view that the government which governs the least in the best. As for this framework, any government should have just three primary functions, according to him, that is, maintenance of military defense. Maintenance of military defense, it is most important for government. That's why government should, it is a primary function of government, maintenance of military governance, military defense. Then enforcing contracts between individuals. Then third one, protecting citizens against crimes against themselves or their property also. This is the primary functions of government. Friedman thinks government should be limited government. Then Friedman observes that when government in pursuit of good intentions tries to rearrange the economy, legislate morality, or help special interests, the costs come in efficiency, lack of innovation, and loss of freedom. The government should be a referee, not an active player. According to Friedman, government should be a referee, not a active player. It is the context that public choice approach evolved to minimizing spending and maximizing productivity. Then the works of political economists. Political economists were concerned with public investment and public expenditure decision. The PPB, planning, programming, budgeting, analyst selects program for the efficient utilization of resources in the accomplishment of those purposes. Programming, planning, budgeting. Then public choice represents another fact of work in political economy with more radical implementations for the theory of public administration. In the public choice tradition is with the conceptualization of public goods as the type of event associates with the output of public agencies. During the period of following Simon challenges, another community of scholars have grappled with many of these same intellectual issues. This community of scholars has been composed predominantly of political economists who have been concerned with public investment and public expenditure decisions. One facet of his work has been manifest in benefit cost analysis and development of the planning, programming, budgeting system. Then PPB analysis rests upon much the same theoretical grounds as the traditional theory of public administration. The PPB analyst is essentially taking the methodological perspective of an omniscient observers or a benevolent despot, assuming that he knows the will of the state. The PPB analyst selects a program for the efficient citizens of resources, men and material, etc., in the accomplishment of those purposes. Public choice represents another facet of work in political economy with more radical implications for the theory of public administration. Most political economists in the public choice tradition begin with the individual as the basic unit of analysis. Traditional economists, man is replaced by man, the decision maker. The second concern in the public choice tradition is with the conceptualization of public goods as a type of event associated with the output of public agencies. These efforts are closely related. Simon's concern for the definition and measurement of the results of administrative action. In addition, public choice theory is concerned with the effect that different decision rules or decision making arrangements will have upon the production of those events. Conceptualization as public goods and services. A model of man, the type of event characterized as public goods and services, and decision structures comprise the analytical variables in public choice theory. Our man, the decision maker, will confront certain opportunities and possibilities in the world of events and will pursue his relative advantage within the strategic opportunities afforded by different types of decision rules or decision making arrangements. The consequences are evaluated by whether or not the outcome inconsistent with the efficiency criterion. Then the nature of goods and services. Nature of goods and services. Individuals who are self interested, rational, and pursue maximizing strategies found themselves found themselves in a variety of situations. Political economists in the public choice tradition distinguished between private goods and as well as public goods. Then public goods are highly indivisible goods, can be enjoyed by all consumers. Unanimity was the only decision that individuals utilized to undertake collective actions. Most public goods would not be provided costs or included even public goods. Individuals who are self interested, rational, and pursue maximizing strategies find themselves in a variety of situations. Such situations involve the production and consumption of variety of goods. Political economists in the public choice tradition distinguished between private goods and public goods. Private goods are defined as those goods and services such are highly divisible and can be packaged, contained, and measured units provided under market conditions. The consumers can be excluded from enjoying the benefits unless they are willing to pay the prices. In contrast, the public goods are highly indivisible goods, can be enjoyed by all consumers without paying the price, mostly in all the circumstances. National defense is a classic example of public goods. Once it is provided for some individuals living within a particular country, it is automatically provided for all individuals who are citizens of that country, whether they pay for it or not. That's why the national defense is a classic example of public goods. They don't pay anything, mostly in all circumstances. Then the existence of public goods are significant externalities creates a number of critical problems for individuals affected by those circumstances. Each individual will maximize his net welfare if he takes advantage of public goods at minimum cost to himself. Furthermore, individuals may not even be motivated to articulate their own honesty preference for common goods. If any voluntary action is proposed for common goods, individuals may opt for holdouts or act as free riders and takes advantage of the benefits provided by others. A collective action to provide public goods and services such as national defense, public parks, and education is not easily accomplished if anonymity was the only decision that individuals utilized to undertake collective actions. Most public goods would not be provided. Costs are included even public goods. This is the nature of the goods and services. Public choice competition. The citizen has no place else to go, and if he is one in a million other citizen, the probability of his interest being taken into account is negligible. Community of people and problem of changing levels of demand in relation to the available supply of public goods and services. Education can be a sound investment in human development only when individuals pursue the efforts as enhancing their life prospects. Then producer performance and consumer interests are closely tied together and provide the necessary public facilities are insufficient for optimally in the use of the public facilities. Before that, then producer performance and consumer interest. The problem of collective inaction can be overcome under somewhat optimal conditions provided that substantial unanimity can be sustained at the level of constitutional choice. Then political and administrative leadership is lead to search out median solutions within a community of people which has a single peaked order of preferences. Then third one is a public service can be produced by an enterprise subject to those constraints. Some difficult problems will always remain to plague those concerned with the provision of public goods and services. Once a public good is provided, each individual will have little or no choice but to take advantage of whatever is provided unless he is able to move or is wealthy enough to provide for himself. Under these conditions, the producer of public good may be relatively free to induce savings in production costs by increasing the burden or cost to the user or consumer of public goods and services. Shifts of producer cost to consumers may result in an aggregate loss of efficiency, where the savings on production side are exceeded by added costs on the consumptions side. Consumption side. The public agencies rarely, if ever, calculate the value of users' time and inconvenience when they engage in studies of how to make better use of their employees' time. What is the value of the time of citizen who stand in the waiting of the service has gained the value of clerk's time. Then public choice competition. If the citizen has no place else to go, and if he is one in a million other citizens, the probability of his interest being taken into account is negligible. The most impoverished members of the community are the most exposed to deprivations under these circumstances. A preoccupation with producer efficiency in public administration may have been contributed to the impoverishment of ghettos. This problem is further complicated by conditions of changing preference among any community of people and problem of changing levels of demands in relation to available supply of public goods and services. No one can know the preference or values of other persons apart from giving those persons an opportunity to express their preferences or values. If constancies and collectivities are organized in a way that does not reflect the diversity of interests among different groups of people, then producers of public goods and services will be taking action without information as to the changing preference of the persons they serve. Expenditure may be made with little reference to consumer utility. Producer efficiency in the absence of consumer utility is without meaning. Large per capita expenditures for educational services which are not conceived by the recipients to enhance their life prospects may be grossly unproductive. Education can be a sound investment in human development only when individuals pursue the efforts as enhancing their life prospects. Similar difficulties may be engendered when conditions demand for a public good or service increase in relation to the available supply. When demands begin to exceed supply, the dynamics inherent in the tragedy of the commons may arise all over again. A congested highways carries less and less traffic as the demand grows. What was once a public good for local residents may now become public bad as congested and noisy Traffic precludes a growing number of opportunities for the use of streets by local residents. In short, the value of public goods may be subject to serious erosion under conditions of changing demand. Finally, producer performance and consumer interests are closely tied together when we recognized that the capacity to levy taxes, to make appropriate expenditure decisions, and to provide the necessary public facilities are insufficient for optimality in the use of public facilities. Then, the effect of decision structures upon collective action. The problem arising from the individual of public good and structure of individual incentives created by the failure of an exclusion principle. Mancure-Olson includes that individuals cannot be expected to form large voluntary associations to pursue matters of public interest unless special conditions exist. Individuals will form voluntary associations in pursuit of public interests only when members will derive separable benefits of a sufficient magnitude to justify the cost of membership, or where they can be coerced into bearing their share of the costs. Thus, one cannot expect persons to recognize themselves in a strictly voluntary association to realize their common interests in the provision of public goods and services. An individual's action will be calculated by the probability that his efforts alone will make a difference. If that probability is nil, and if he is a rational person, we would expect his effort to be nil. Then constitutional choice and collective action. A constitutional choice is simply a choice of decision, rules for making future collective decision. Constitutional choice as such does not include the appropriation of funds. According to Buchanan and Tullock, need two types of costs into account: external costs, decision making costs. Both type of costs are affected by the selection of decision rules to future collective actions. A constitutional choice is simply a choice of decision rules for making future collective decisions. Constitutional choice as such does not include the appropriation of funds or action to alter events in the world except to provide the organizational structures for ordering the choice of future decision makers. A representative individual wanting to create an organization to provide a public good would, according to Buchanan and Tullock, need to take two types of costs into account. One is external costs, those costs which is individual expects to bear as the result of decisions which deviate from his preferences and impose costs upon him. Then second one is decision making costs. One is external costs. Second one is decision making costs. The expenditure of resources, time, effort, and opportunities foregone in decision making. This is the decision making costs. Expenditure of resources, time, effort, and opportunities foregone in decision making. Both type of costs are affected by the selection of decision rules which specify the proportion of individuals required to agree prior to future collective action. Then main recommendations. Before that, a majority vote and social preferences. Majority vote and social preferences. Scholars in the public choice tradition have concerned with the effect of decision rules upon the expression of individual preferences regarding the social welfare of community individuals. Particular attention has been paid to majority vote as a means of expressing such preferences. Community is assumed to have a single peaked preference according and then a choice reflecting the median preference position will dominate all other under majority votes, provided the numbers are odd. If representatives are aware of their constituents' preferences, the task of developing a winning coalition depends upon the formulation of a program that will occupy the median position of voter preferences, provided that voters are making a choice between two alternatives. Under these circumstances, persons in political and administrative leadership would have an incentive to formulate a program oriented to the median preference position for their constituents. Voters would then choose the alternatives if presented with choice. These conditions may reasonably apply to a public good for which there is a relatively uniform demand in relation to any particular community of interests. Variations in demands for the different mixes of public goods as might be reflected in the difference between wealthy neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods. variations in demand for the different mixes of public goods, as might be reflected in the differences between the welfare neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods in a big city, would not make the conditions of simple wickedness when applied to the provisions of educational services, police service, or welfare services. Majority voting under such conditions would fail to reflect the social preferences of such diverse neighborhoods if they were in the same constituency. Then, now main recommendations of public choice theory: reducing the discretionary powers of politicians and role of government. This is the main recommendation of public choice theory. Of course, it is not possible also, but this is the main recommendation to the public choice theory. Reducing the discretionary powers of politicians and role of the government. Then reducing the government monopolies and ensuring institutional pluralism for the provision of goods and services. Generally, in maximum nations, in maximum governments, the government generally acts as a monopoly. So, the public choice approach, the recommendation is reducing the government monopolies and ensuring institutional pluralism for the provision of goods and services. Reforming the organization based on the principles of dispersed authority and competitions. Then constitutional checks and increased accountability of governmental institutions to the public to limit the powers, such as deficit budgeting and taxation powers of politico-bureaucratic combine and the various vested groups around them. The role of governmental operations should shift to the advisory and regulatory areas. The role of government operations should shift to the advisory and regulatory areas. As the functioning of market may also have distortion and not based on healthy competition. Regulations by government is necessary wherever delivery of goods and services is entrusted to the government. It should be subjected to competition and should not be allowed to develop monopolies. Generally, it says that the recommendation is reduce the monopolies, government monopolies, reduce the government monopolies. That's why it should be subjected to competition and should not be allowed to develop monopolies. That's why it should be reduced or allowed to develop monopolies. The functions like providing educational and health care facilities should be optional for the government. They should preferably be private. Nowadays it is generally education day to day withdrawing the two sectors mainly, that is education as well as even health also. So that it is also one of the recommendation of the public choice theory. The big governments should give a way to lean and thin government. The size of government should be reduced. Same also, all even state governments also, even central government also, reducing is even cabinet also size. This is because of the visible hand of the government may not always be benevolent, and even popular democracies government may not be framing rational economic policies for the long-term development of the society. Public interest is not guided by the public choice. The expenditure incurred by governmental sector should be reduced. It is also now in all governments they are practicing. Among the public agencies also competition should be encouraged. Same it is also occurred in nowadays. Then the self-seeking behavior of government officials tends to sustain status quo. This prevents the development and innovations. Changes should be brought about to keep pace with the rapidly changing socio-economic conditions. These are the main recommendations of the public choice theory. Then conclusion. The multilateral institutions such as the World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund also supported the market-led and market-friendly approach to development. Maximum nations are generally depend on the World Bank as well as International Monetary Fund also. The international institutions, the multilateral institutions such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund also supported the market-led and market-friendly approach to development. This view has been reflected since the World Development Report 1991. It is reflected since World Bank Development Report 1991. The state should keep its activities to minimum and keep itself mainly confined to the regulatory activities as well as to the areas which do not offer profit to the private sector. Example, building material, social infrastructure, defense, law and order, provision of social security for the vulnerable sections of people, and environmental protection, etc. Thus, according to this view taken by the various international agencies, also the central actor in the development process should be the market only and not the government. This is the conclusion of public choice approach. Thank you.